Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I have a reaction for you guys on Law and Crime Network. I love this channel. The cases, geez, they do crazy deep dives. We're not doing a deep dive today, but we are talking about a case of a little boy that got killed by his mother, and then she killed herself over her hatred over her husband or ex-husband. You know, it's actually astonishing how many women kill their kids. I'm not joking. I've been seeing a lot lately. I posted one on the community board about the mother in India who threw her child into alligator and crocodile infested waters. Child got eaten up, and she did that because of her husband. Like, I'm shocked. Like, it's insane how there are so many mothers who do not deserve to have kids. And you know what? They always, there's a saying that they always say, you believe a mother than a father. So women are more likely to get the custody of the child, but sometimes they should look more to this stuff, because a lot of women are unstable and a lot of women need help, and a lot of women do not need to have kids. I don't know what could she possibly hated somebody so much to do that to her child. And then they were found in a ditch. I read about this on before this. I saw it a little bit on the website, but I'm curious about like the stuff they found, because I'm like, why would she do this to your, like, why would you kill your child? He was so tiny. Little innocent little babies are so innocent. Children are so innocent. Why would you do that to your own blood? How much can you have hated this man? And then she told him to say goodbye to him. Goodbye to daddy. So that's the last thing he got. And it's just so evil. Like, evil really does exist, y'all. We need to remember that it exists. Psychopaths exist. Sociopaths. I don't know what she categorized as, or what would she. She should have just took her own life. And then it's also weird. Why were they in ditches? Like, was she trying to frame him? There are so many unanswered questions, so let's get into this video.
Concerns regarding Savannah Kreider, who resides at that residence with her young son, Caden.
A mother and her 3-year-old son found shot to death in Texas.
Savannah instructs Caden to say bye to daddy, which Caden does.
Now the sheriff says his suspicions have been confirmed. I have the sad case of Caden Krieger and his mother, Savannah Kreiger. Thanks for joining me for Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. There are so many cases that just leave me absolutely heartsick and stunned, and this is one of them. 3-year-old Caden Krieger should be here. But on March 18th, the sheriff in Bexar County, Texas, says his mother picked him up early from daycare with the intention of killing him and herself. Sheriff Javier Salazar briefed the media on March 19th about the investigation at Tom Slick Park in San Antonio.
Last night, what started all this off is we got a call about 6:30, 8211 Dover's Den at a residence not too far from here, off Culebra, for a report of a welfare check. There was some concerns regarding Savannah Kreider, who resides at that residence with her young son, Caden Kreider. Krieger, my apologies. When we initially arrived, there was no vehicle there on scene, and deputies were not able to make entry to the residence. So later in the evening, we were able to make contact with a family member that eventually was able to get us into the residence with consent, and we were able to get in and found some things. I won't go too much into detail on what was found, but they did find some things that led us to believe there was certainly cause for concern for the child, and as well as for Savannah.
Discovery that officers made after searching for Savannah and Caden.
Throughout the night, we were searching the area. We were able to get some phone pings out in this area here. During the night, we were able to find her vehicle, Savannah's vehicle, out here at the park, and that vehicle was recovered. But utilizing SAPD Eagle and Park Police, we were not able to find them last night in the park. The plan was to wait till daybreak and then resume the search out here. This morning, a Park Police officer was out here accompanied by our SCORE deputies, and a Park Police officer was able to find 2 bodies in the ditch back there off the backside of the park. At this point, we're not even clear that it's park property, but there's a drainage easement that runs behind the park, and that's where we were able to find 2 bodies. At this point, we are operating on the premise that it is Savannah and the child that we have found. It appears that there's some evidence that there may have been some gunshots fired. But again, at this point, it's just too early to give anything beyond tentative identification.
An autopsy confirmed that the bodies found in the drainage ditch were in fact Savannah Krieger and 3-year-old Caden. Caden's death was ruled a homicide. He had indeed been shot, but it would take further investigation to determine that Savannah's manner of death was a suicide. Sheriff Salazar elaborated on what was going on in Savannah's life back in March.
There's been some sort of a custody battle ongoing with the custody of the baby, and there was concerns from family members that they were not able to make contact with her. There was some her phone was going straight to voicemail. Another family member or friend typically has it where they have a family plan where they can track phones, and her location services were off, and so there was just general cause for concern. The last time she was seen she had signed out of work a bit early to go pick up the baby from daycare. And so that was the last time that she was seen, but there were no indications from employers that there was any cause for concern other than she was going to pick up the baby to take him to a medical appointment, and then that was the last time they were seen.
Now, the sheriff said that...
You know what's crazy about all this, y'all? It's insane how, women do go through a lot, though, and this is not, let me tell you, I'm not justifying anything. I don't know till we know the full story. There are women who, if it's they go crazy during a custody battle. Looking at these pictures, he looked like he had a great relationship with his dad. And what's also weird is interesting and weird. I feel like family do play a lot in this. They don't be noticing signs, and you really need to be alert. Anybody listening right now, y'all need to be alert of people with kids in the family who look like they're not stable enough, and go do something about it, because there are always signs. There are you can look at somebody's demeanor change. Her family could look at her and they can probably see a change after, once the custody battle started. You could see she wasn't right. They said they found stuff in the home that wasn't right about her. There is just always something. And I feel like nobody knows anything until it's too late. And this should not have happened. Whatever happened, it should not have happened. I'm taking it into consideration that, not consideration, but what they're saying, that this was a murder-suicide and that she killed her child. And if that's true, which I believe it is because of what they're saying, I don't know, but it was premeditated. It was very premeditated. She picked them up, and then the car was over there, and I'm gonna just keep saying allegedly till it's all proven, okay? The fact that she allegedly, if it's true, shot her child who's only 3 years old, didn't know what was going on, and I don't even want to imagine what that even looks like in the ditch, and then you shoot yourself. You know what? I'm curious about if they find. I'm curious if they found any tears, if that's a thing. They can it could be something when they could be oh, she was. I've seen that probably on TV when they said it was somebody's body or something. They said it turns out the person was crying when they died. I'm actually curious if they found that, because a person, you can't do that and not have emotion for your child after you kill them. I'm really curious it's an interesting clue if they found tears on her. But they would have dried up. But I feel like you could still tell. She went to work, so she probably had makeup on, and so yeah. I'm curious if she had tears, because that would say a lot in this. It would just be it's still just so sickening, and everything just. I don't know if she did this over this man custody battle and the hatred, and if this is all true. This just I wish she was alive, because people who do this. Allegedly, if she done this, people deserve to pay the price, and they take the easy way out, which is killing themselves. And you know what? She deserves to go if she did this, and it's just very sick, and it's sad for the child who had no chance. So young, so tiny, so innocent, didn't know what was going on, don't know what a gun is, don't know why she acting like this. He just confused. She brought him over there probably to play. It's just so much it's so much that could have happened and that we don't know yet. But maybe they'll tell us, so let's finish it.
Caden's father was cooperating with the investigation and trying to fill in
and it's
some
sad
blanks
for
for
his dad.
him.
I cannot imagine that.
Let go, please.
He should have tried hard to get
Caden's
custody
father,
over him.
Brian, shared that video of them together with me. I'll have more on what
Oh,
Brian
the
Krieger said
baby's
about
so
Caden
cute.
later in the show. Savannah and Caden's father were actually due in court for a custody hearing the day that the bodies were found in the park. Sheriff Salazar said at the time that they found a firearm where Savannah and Caden's bodies were found, and they suspected that she had killed Caden and then turned the gun on herself. Now, after weeks of investigation, Sheriff Salazar laid out exactly what happened that day, according to the information they've uncovered.
They were both found deceased from gunshot wounds. I'm sure you all know by now that the medical examiner's office has released a cause and manner of death on Savannah as a suicide. Obviously, we knew from early on that Caden's death was ruled a homicide.
Sheriff Salazar said investigators used cell phone records and data.
I kept saying allegedly, but I forgot that she called him right before this and told her son to say goodbye. Yes, she did it. No more allegedly. I really forgot that clue. Yeah, she did it.
And those showed on March 18th, Savannah Krieger left work and went to her ex-husband's home.
During this time, it is believed, from what we have now on the investigation, during that time, it's believed that Savannah entered the residence of her ex-husband and damaged various items of personal clothing, furniture items, miscellaneous items like towels inside the residence.
While Savannah Krieger was doing this, Sheriff Salazar said phone records showed her ex-husband was at the car dealership where he worked.
Her Lincoln Aviator leaves her ex-husband's residence at 1:57 p.m. That 2023 Lincoln Aviator travels 27.2 miles, arriving at Savannah's residence, which is at 8211 Dover's Den. During this time, it's believed that Savannah enters the residence, and at this point, we did verify, or we did refer early on in the case that there were some things at her residence that gave us pause. That there were some indicators that there were some shots fired within her residence. Again, all the indicators we have is that she was at this residence alone during this time. But what we know is that there were some wedding dresses that seemed to have been laid out on the bed.
Oh, she was crazy.
And that we believe that she fired 2 shots into her wedding portraits that were positioned on the bed. They seemed to be displayed on the bed, and there were gunshot bullet holes in them that indicated she had fired into those pictures. It should be noted that the shell casings found in the residence, from what we believe those shots that were fired into those portraits, those shell casings match the shell casings found at the crime scene where we ultimately found the bodies of Savannah and the little boy. Those were matched on a system that we have that's able to match shell casings.
Shortly after firing the shots at the wedding photo.
Okay, yeah, no more allegedly. She's a killer. This was definitely planned. She did not care about that child. I don't know. She did not care about that child. Definitely they need to get a psychologist, psychiatrist and psychologist. I'm really curious about why would a woman do that? Like, how much could you have hated this man? The little boy is so cute. Oh my God. How much could you have hated this man to shoot your wedding dress? Maybe he just didn't want you because he found out how crazy he was. Like, there's so much. And like her wedding portraits, like you're shooting bullets into them. There are a lot of unstable women out here.
And their mothers. Sheriff Salazar said Savannah checked Caden out of daycare and then started calling her ex-husband.
The parking lot and facility surveillance cameras show Savannah exiting the driver's seat of the vehicle and officially checking Caden out of the facility at 2:33 p.m. The surveillance video shows Savannah loading Caden into the rear passenger seat of the vehicle before re-entering the driver's seat. At 2:42 p.m., the Lincoln Aviator leaves Caden's daycare facility. At 2:46 p.m., Savannah's call history log shows a FaceTime call made to her ex-husband, who ends up utilizing another phone to record his phone where he's engaging in the FaceTime call with her. Simultaneously, his location data from the car dealership off of Southwest Loop 410 during that time. During the 2-minute and 13-second phone conversation, Savannah states in the video, "You don't have anything to go home to now. You really don't. You don't have anything at Dover's Den house either, and you won't have anything at all at the end of the day."
Jeez, she really hated that man.
What the sheriff is describing is absolutely horrifying.
It is.
Savannah Krieger was literally melting down with her son in her care. The sheriff said that Caden's father drove to...
You have your child. What else do you need? Why would you care about... If y'all separated, why do you care so much? Your child should be your #1 priority. And he was a good dad. I just don't understand the whole hatred behind it. It's like, geez, the girl was like insane.
his home and called 911 to report the damage that he found, and he filed a criminal mischief report.
Savannah's call history log shows another attempt to FaceTime her ex-husband. Savannah then sends her last text message, say goodbye to your son.
That's so
At 3:21
freaky.
p.m., Savannah's call history log shows yet another attempt to FaceTime her ex-husband. It appears that was an unsuccessful attempt. At this point, Savannah then records a 21-second video where she and Caden appear to be already seated at the drainage ditch where their bodies would eventually be found by law enforcement 19 hours later. Savannah instructs Caden to say bye to Daddy, which Caden does. Savannah also apologizes to Caden for his daddy not being there and then kisses Caden. At this point, and I can describe the video to you, we've seen the video here. There's nothing graphic about the video except for the fact that now, knowing what we know now about what happened in the moments thereafter, it's pretty obvious what's about to happen in the video.
Yeah.
Sheriff Salazar says that video does not show what happened next, but on Savannah's phone, there were searches for kids' content. The sheriff said police searched the park to no avail. Night fell, and the next morning, officers found Savannah and Caden's bodies in the drainage ditch. Joining me to discuss this case is Dr. Daniel Bober. He's a forensic psychiatrist. Dr. Bober, I am horrified by this case. I can't imagine getting to the point where I would kill my son and then take my own life. Your first thoughts on what happened here with little Caden and Savannah Krieger?
Truly tragic. I think at this point we have more questions than answers, and it's really horrifying.
This woman was obviously melting down on the day that this happened. It was March 18th. I mean, she's going over, according to the sheriff, to her ex-husband's house on the eve.
I also find it weird that there are a lot of people like this. They're so obsessed. Y'all, I have another case too. I will do most likely tomorrow talking about this, and it ended up really horrifying, like what happened. But y'all, how do women, men do this too, but with this case, how did you get to that? So you're that broken, and it's just that that downhill that you just want to end it all over a man that don't want you. You have your child. Y'all are always going to be bonded because of the baby, but he didn't want you no more. He probably saw all the red flags and left. I don't know what happened. And I definitely wish she was alive so she can because they would have probably, she deserved, she's gone. But she deserved to be alive to suffer with this. And I wonder if she even had remorse. Wish she had remorse. She killed her child. And it take a sick person to do that. You got to have no heart to take your child. I don't care what people say. I don't care if mental illness played a part. I don't. Kids are innocent, and you're the mother. And I still wish that people look more into it with parents and their kids. They should look at the signs, and I feel like there are just always signs.
Of a custody hearing, trashing the house, then shooting up her wedding dress and her wedding photos at her own home, and then killing her son, recording videos of him, sending it to the ex-husband, almost torturing him, and then taking her own life. How does one get to this point? I mean, we don't know if she was on the verge of losing custody. Obviously, there was something going on where there was going to be a hearing about who had custody of this child.
I was involved in a case that was very similar to this many years ago, and it involved actually a patient who went to a custody hearing, and the morning of the hearing waited for the wife to come to the hearing, killed the wife, killed the lawyer, and killed himself in the parking lot.
Jeez.
So I think there's actually an element of rage here that just boils over, and the person kind of thinks, if I can't have them, you're not going to have them, no one's going to have them. And it's sort of a narcissism in a way.
And you know what was weird about that? When you think about it like that, that's even worse. If she can't have this man, screw the child. That's basically what she says. Screw this baby. Screw this innocent human being who didn't ask for this. She, the wedding dress, shooting up the wedding pictures, Like, she literally was obsessed, I'm pretty sure, and was mad that he couldn't, like, they didn't get back together, most likely. And you just said, screw your child, I'm taking him with me. You're not going to have him no more either if I can't have you. That's actually crazy. Definitely narcissistic. I did not think about it like that. Yeah, her rage level was, like, probably skyrocketed. And, ugh.
And I've seen this
crazy
before, and it's very chilling. This is why, for example, I don't get involved in a lot of these child custody cases.
Yes, too.
Because there is so much rage, as there should be, because when you're going to lose your children, I think there's nothing more primal than that. And I think that drives people to do unspeakable acts or to commit unspeakable acts.
This little boy had no control over this whatsoever. He was 3 years old, taken out of daycare, according to the sheriff, by his mother early. Taken to a drainage ditch, shown cartoons. He's recording these videos. She's telling him to say goodbye to daddy. I mean, he's with his mom. He trusts his mom. He has zero control. I mean, is this the act? She has all the control. Is this the ultimate exercise of control by Savannah Krieger? Obviously, you have not examined her. You never examined her, and you can't assess her. But it just seems like such an extreme
a lot of killers hit their heads when they're like growing up.
Yeah, I mean, it's the ultimate betrayal because you think that you have unconditional trust in your parents, and so you make yourself totally vulnerable to them. Y'all. And to betray that trust and to take advantage of that vulnerability is really the ultimate betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
The sheriff said in his press conference that he doesn't really have any statistics to show that murder-suicides are on the rise or anything like that, but it seems like we do hear about this from time to time, and I've seen it in the news a couple of times recently talking about murder-suicides. What goes into that? I mean, why are we seeing these things? I've covered them in the last 15 years or so. They're horrible when they happen. I mean, they can happen with older people who are sick, older couples, sometimes you see it.
And murder-suicide, it's just such a selfish way to do it, because it's like, why would you take somebody else with you? Why would you put somebody else in pain and everybody else in, like, their families in pain because of your actions? Like, I don't understand that. It's such a selfish way to go, because it's like you're killing more people than yourself. If it was me, leave that over there, man. You do that. If it was like my husband trying to kill himself and then kill me, no, you go over there and do that yourself, and I would move out the way for you. Like, that's just, no.
You'd see it with couples, married couples, who maybe their marriage is falling apart. This is a woman
find somebody else.
Killing her son.
There's a lot of people
and
out
then
here
taking her own life.
It's very interesting. I see it in the context of men taking their own lives more often. And I think a lot of that has to do with toxic masculinity, that we're in a culture where the male is supposed to be the protector and the caretaker. And when they lose that role, it is such a wound to their ego that very often, or that will be enough to put them over the top, especially if they had a prior history of mental illness or some sort of instability. But in a female, again, I think there's a role there as a mother. And when you can't even fulfill that most basic human role, I think there's, again, a sort of insult, if you will, or injury to the ego, which causes someone to feel like they're losing control. And the only way that they can make that pain go away is to take their own lives. And again, if I can't take care of you, no one's going to take care of you. We're leaving this world together.
So you found this more unusual for a woman to do something like this than a man? Because I feel like we don't really see that many crimes committed by women with firearms.
Not like this, because men, obviously, because of testosterone, tend to be more aggressive. Women tend to engage more in relational aggression, whereas men tend to engage more in physical aggression. So it is unusual.
I think she never wanted to have that child. I don't know. This act of violence. It'd be those relationships when they might not even care for the child. She'd be like, well, she would probably like, allegedly, there are cases where you get pregnant for the man, and after he break up with you, they're like, okay, I don't want this child. There are a lot of cases like that, and it could end. It always never is well.
In a woman, although not unheard of, but less common than in a male.
Are there any takeaways from this at all? I mean, I can't imagine that this woman wasn't showing any signs that something was wrong. I mean, we don't know the nature of the custody hearing. A lot of times those things are sealed from the public. We just know what the sheriff has released, that there was going to be some type of custody hearing. There was a custody battle going on. We see this in the news sometimes, that cases involving child custody become very volatile and become violent and end in murder.
Yeah, I have some clients that are divorce attorneys, and they say that they keep their doors locked, they have cameras, they arm themselves because these cases can become very aggressive very quickly. When you threaten people's livelihood, when you threaten, their children or taking away their children, it can erupt into violence very easily. We don't know about this woman's history. We don't know if she was psychiatrically hospitalized,
Yeah, I
if
feel
she
like
had
she
a history
was.
of violence, aggression,
Probably had it all,
substance use,
probably.
other things in her past that would have put her at higher risk of violence. We just don't know. And again, that's why I think there's going to be more questions than answers until more information comes out.
Definitely.
Yeah, very sad case. I have so many questions. I'm like, why would she, what was she going through? Like, we know the custody, the wedding stuff says a lot too. She hated him for leaving her. That's 100% that reason. But what was going through her head mentally? If my sister was here, y'all, which I cannot wait till she get home because I'm doing some of these cases with her, okay, for you guys, okay? She's majoring in psychology. She studies my family too. We go back and forth since I do anthropology. It don't have nothing to do with that, but like we be going back and forth, just know that, okay? And I go back and forth to my other sister who do law and she has a bachelor's in criminology. So it would be really cool to get them on here. Like, she really wants to do this with me, but she's in Atlanta, and I'm like, how are we gonna do this? I don't have to set up some recorders for her to watch them with me and like dissect this. But 100%, I'm gonna get my sister who studies psychology on here for you guys, okay? Because it'd be interesting to see what's going through their minds. But yeah, I think it's worse because the mother. It's like, you're this child's caretaker. This child has only been on the earth for 3 years. Like, that man looked like he was so normal, but like I said, you never know people. But she obviously, there was something off in her head, because for you to do that, for you to go find a park where kids play to go kill, like, off yourself is like, really, that's some sick stuff. For you to, like, it was all these signs how, she had all this stuff in the house. She shooting wedding pictures. She's picking up her son is definitely premeditated. There were the searches, telling your son to say goodbye, telling your texting to the dad that this is the last time we're going to see him. Thank God he knew something was wrong, but I have a feeling he thought something was wrong earlier. That's why they was having the custody battle. I feel like she 100% would have lost, and she knew that. But for you to take the child's life, it don't make sense. I just don't get that. Like, why, like I said, with the murder-suicide, when that doctor was saying, the psychiatrist, I'm over here like, why ruin 2 lives? Like, why ruin more lives? If you want to offer yourself, you do that. Don't take other people with you who didn't ask for this. He didn't deserve that, okay? My eyes itching, y'all. This case was crazy. Like I said, I saw this before it was on here. I saw it on Google, and I was like looking at it a little bit, but I didn't know the full story. I just saw that she said, say goodbye to daddy. That's all I saw. Definitely a sad case. It did not have to happen. And while I was doing this video, y'all, I was helping my friend plan her wedding, maid of honor over here. I was also watching this, something popped up that some kids in Sudan, that's how you pronounce it in Africa, all killed and shot. A lot of kids was killed and shot. Adults killed and shot and thrown bodies into the rivers. Their bodies was thrown into the rivers. It's just like nonstop murder. It's like nonstop death everywhere. Every time I record one of these videos, it's like death pop up on my phone. I see another case. It will never end. And I think it's just interesting that what goes through people's mind, power, anger, all of it. I don't know. This woman had a lot of anger, okay? She had a lot of hatred. She was jealous. This woman was angry. When you take your child's life, the life that you had this child. You birthed and raised this child for 3 years, and that's what's so crazy. Like, yeah, you had a lot of anger in your heart. And I really wish she was here so she could suffer it, because she deserved to live with that pain. But you know what? This was crazy. Let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think was going on with her? Any theories? Because I've always got them. Definitely think something was off in her head. The reason I said maybe she hit her head, because I see all this true crime I see with the serial killer. She's not a serial killer, but a lot of serial killers who kill multiple people, it's always like they hit their head on swing sets or in the childhood, and it affects like the intro, like some temporal something in the brain. That's why I said that. But who knows? I think she was just a jealous, bitter woman, and she was going to lose her child, and she just lost it. That's what this is. That's what this seems like. Very premeditated, very sad, should not have happened. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.